Okay guys, this is going to be your science video for this week, and I just want to take a minute to kind of go over the life cycle flyer with you and then kind of explain your choice board. So we've gone over the water cycle before in class, but we hadn't compared that to animals just yet, but it's really not hard because you already understand how a cycle works. So I wanted to first remind you of the water cycle. So something that you notice about this was, did it ever stop at any point in here? Did the water cycle just end? No, that's the point of a cycle, is it just keeps going and keeps going. Okay, so there's really no starting point or ending point with this. So we had condensation, which was when the water vapor cools down in the clouds. It turns into clouds and then it turns into water droplets. And then it comes down as precipitation. So water droplets fall down to the earth when the clouds are heavy. And one thing that this chart doesn't show you was collection down here. And so that was whenever it all gathers in the ocean right here, or a lake or a puddle. So we're gonna actually make our arrow go down like this. And then it goes up when it evaporates and turns into a vapor because it got hot from the sun. And then that's when it cools back down and turns into a cloud, goes back to precipitation, falls back down to the earth and collects, evaporates back to the sky. So that is how our cycle kind of kept on working, okay? So if we want to compare that to the life cycle of living objects, let's look at a plant first, okay? This is a little hint to what may be included in some of your Happy Mail. So as you receive your Happy Mail this week, make sure that you're keeping an eye on the website and the Facebook group, because I'm going to be sending out some instructions with that, and it does relate to this. Okay, so you start off with your seed. And your seed, once it has the water and the sunlight and the soil or whatever that it needs, it's going to germinate. So what that means is it starts to sprout its little roots and things. So then it starts to grow its roots and its stems even bigger. And then it turns into a small plant, so you can't see that seed anymore. And then it grows into an adult plant. Okay, and so then once bees and butterflies come and they pollinate it, and they take some of that stuff and go everywhere. And so it's like, picture like a dandelion. Okay, the bugs come over to it, but then also the wind will blow those seeds everywhere. And so then those seeds would take root somewhere and germinate and grow their roots and stems, become a small plant, adult plant. A bee might come pollinate it. It would go somewhere else. So that's how the plant cycle just keeps going and keeps going. If we were going to look at a butterfly life cycle, we would have the egg. So the adults would lay the eggs, and then the egg would turn into a larva. The egg hatches, and out comes a caterpillar, and they eat lots of milkweed to help them grow. And then the larva turns into a pupa, and the caterpillar sheds its skin and forms a chrysalis. And then after it's done growing inside of that, it becomes a full-grown butterfly, which comes out of the chrysalis in a week or two. And so that whole thing is called metamorphosis. And if you think back to our butterfly story from last week, it kind of went over this cycle with you a little bit. And so then that butterfly would lay eggs, and then the eggs would become larva and pupa and butterfly, and it would just keep going and going again. So let's look at your ladybug life cycle. Okay, so it would be very similar to that butterfly life cycle. So these tiny ladybug eggs will hatch in 3 to 5 days. So you would find those on the underside of a leaf. What that means is, like, you're not gonna, if you were looking at this plant right here and a ladybug decided to start its family on it, you wouldn't find them right here. You would have to look on the underside of the leaf very carefully without breaking your leaf so you don't mess up their habitat. And so the reason that they would do that most likely would be to protect their babies, to protect their eggs from sunlight or from other animals. They're kind of like hiding them. So then a larva would hatch from the egg. Kind of ugly, right? You're used to seeing like these pretty ladybugs, and it starts out like this. Gross. And then the larva would become a pupa, and it stays in this stage for 5 to 7 days. And then after a few more weeks, it becomes an adult ladybug. So it says this entire process takes from 4 to 7 weeks. So from the time this egg is laid all the way up until it's a full-grown adult ladybug is 4 to 7 weeks. So that's kind of a long time. Same thing like when you're looking at your frog page. You are going to be thinking about what would a cycle look like for a frog. So if you had to pick a spot on here where it probably started, look at your ladybug cycle. Do you see any similarities there? So make sure that you fill out the ones that you know first. And then if you don't know any more, make sure you are checking on YouTube or Google, things like that. I want you guys to really take your learning into your own hands at this point, because I think it's kind of fun for you to get to do some research and things like that. If you were in class with me, I would be letting you look in your science book or getting on an iPad with each other to help figure that out. So I want you guys to be taking, still getting to have those same opportunities when you're at home. If you really get stuck on something, definitely you can ask. Over here on this side on your vocabulary, you've got a word bank down here. So you can fill those in here. So like here's your definition, you'd write the word on the blank for each one of these. And then characteristics of amphibians, you're just going to look and you're going to figure out what makes an amphibian, like a frog or a snake or a lizard, different from like a mammal or a fish or something like that. Actually, fish might be an amphibian. Is it? I don't know. I can't remember. But you're going to figure out what makes an amphibian different from a mammal like you and I, or like from a dog or things like that. So think about where those amphibians live, how they breathe, how they get their food, how they move, maybe even what their skin is like. All those things are going to make amphibians different from a mammal. So Google is going to be your friend on that one. If I find a cool video for that, I may also post that on here to kind of help you with your frog page. But your frog page is, let's see, when is that one? Let me look on your lesson plans. I don't think that's this week. Yeah, your frog page is next week, and I will definitely post a video for you then, but I just wanted to kind of go ahead and explain. I'll re-explain it once we get there, but just so you have an overview of everything that's been included in your science packet. So that's kind of a good outline of what you guys are going to be doing. Let's look at your choice board. Number 1 says draw and label 2 pictures of the life cycles of 2 animals and write a sentence comparing the animals' growth stages. So this can be any 2 animals that you want. You could even do like a butterfly versus a ladybug or a dog versus a cat. However you want to do that, just know that you need to pick animals you either know about or have the ability to research if you don't know. A chicken would be kind of an interesting one too. Task number 2 says choose 3 animals and find out how long they usually live. Make a chart and a bar graph using the data you found. Don't forget to label your graph. And so kind of think outside the box there. You can choose any animals that you want. I was just reading something from National Geographic, I think yesterday, and it was talking about how long a whale shark can live. So think outside the box. You can pick anything you want on that. Task number 3, it says make vocabulary or trading cards or picture cards. You can use index cards or paper for the following terms. So you're just going to take your index card, you're going to write the word on it, and then write the definition. So you're going to want to look that up either in a dictionary or on your Ladybug Life Cycle page or online. Task number 4 says create a flip book or just a regular book explaining the life cycle of a frog or butterfly. Be sure to write in complete sentences and add illustrations. And I will also go ahead and upload a picture of that butterfly chart to Facebook and the Google site in case you want to use that for some help. Number 5 says choose any kind of plant. Pretend you're that plant. Write about the changes that happen to you each season. Draw a picture to show what you wrote. So any kind of plant. You can be grass, you can be a cactus, you could be an oak tree, whatever you want, but you're writing it pretending that you are the plant. So you need to make sure you're writing in first person for that. Like in the fall, I. Or in the winter, this is what happens to me. Okay. Task number 6 says go outside on a life cycle scavenger hunt and see what you can find. Take a picture or video to send to me along with a short explanation of what you found. So I'm going to make a flip grid of this that you can post your video to. If you find a picture, you're welcome to send that to me. But you're just going to find something that you know would be a part of a life cycle and explain what you found. Number 7 says create a poster, right here. Create a poster of a plant life cycle. That can be on just a regular piece of paper. You don't have to have a poster board. Be sure to label each part and explain the life cycle. So any plant that you want, I will post a picture of that flyer as well that I showed you guys. And after you get your Happy Mail, you may even want to use that as part of your project for task 7. Task number 8, write a story about the ladybug life cycle and add illustrations if you like. So a story, like a fun story, not like a boring just explaining what's going on in the life cycle story. Like you can be the ladybug in the story if you want to. Or you can tell it like, Lily the ladybug had just woken up from her long nap or whatever you want to do. However you want to tell that story, make it creative, have fun with it, but just make sure you do include all the different parts of the ladybug life cycle. Number 9 says create a Venn diagram that compares and contrasts the life cycle of a ladybug and a frog. Be sure to include illustrations. So remember that your Venn diagram, you did one of these in reading already. That's your 2 circles. Wow, that was a really bad circle. And then on one side you would have a frog. On the other side you would have a ladybug. And then right here you would have both. And you're just going to compare and contrast their life cycles. So like, or do they both come from eggs? Do they both end up being a tadpole at some point? Is only one of them a pupa and the other one is a froglet? So just make sure you're doing a good job filling all that out, and use those resources that we've shown you and that we've been posting, because that's going to be really helpful for you. Okay, so your actual assignment for this week for science is to watch the ladybug life cycle videos. There should be 2 of them on your lesson plans right here. And then pick any 2 activities that you want from your life cycle choice board, and then send a picture to me of the work that you've completed. And if you choose to do that scavenger hunt, you can post that to Flipgrid, and that way everybody else in the class can see it too. So that is it for science for this week. Pretty easy. And let me know if you have any questions about what is expected of you for any of the tasks, or if you need any help with any of your assignments. Good luck.